Response video to comments, I believe. Yes. Alright, so we're back at the Andy video, which I actually think was probably one of the best videos I ever made. Yeah, it's got lousy 11-7 in terms of the ratings. So it does make you wonder sometimes. I mean, really. I mean, even the choir can't show up sometimes and say, oh, he got it there. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I just mean it's a great video. Yeah, no one could play this video and find anything. This was a perfectly done video, perfect use of metaphors. It was just a brilliant video. You people are all stupid fucks. Yeah, you don't get it. So anyway, this is whatever. I don't know what she is. Chick of some kind. Sullen Angel. Okay, so I saw a comment of hers. I don't know what. It might even have been on an Anticontavod video. And, it was just kind of a thoughtful, seemed intelligent comment, so I subscribed to her. And so apparently, by subscribing to her, because she didn't have too many subscribers, that gave her some sort of incentive. Or maybe she saw that Andy was talking to me. I don't know. Well, whatever. She ended up on my video now. So I'll respond to some of these comments. But yeah, it's just so irritating. So Andy can make a video, uses my name in the video, uses me as an example of something, like a guilt mongerer, even though I've repeatedly said I have absolutely no use for the emotion of guilt at all, and that I'm perfectly, do you actually not believe that guilt is something you acquire through realization, that somebody really can't technically make you guilty, that you have to actually believe what they're saying for you to feel guilt? You actually have to think the thing you did was absolutely wrong, or stupid, or reckless, or sloppy, or preventable, for you to feel guilt. You do understand that, right? You stupid cunts. Anyway. Alright, let's just play along. Acquisition of knowledge is bad because it's going to make you realize that there are problems that you're better off not realizing there are problems. I totally don't get that impression from his video. Well, you haven't watched enough of his videos, apparently. But yes, look, you saw in the video where he gives the example of life's real problems are stubbing your toe and feeling guilty about it. So, you don't get it? That he really is saying avoid all sense of responsibility. He can't even come up with an example better than that in the world we exist in, the exploiting run world, the world that, where every step you take is at somebody's risk, and that's the best he could do is stubbed a toe. Oh, man. And he has made videos where he's basically said it. Parents shouldn't think about the negative possibilities of procreation before having children. They shouldn't think about it. He said it. It's just gonna make them realize it's not the thing to do, and fuck that. They should do what they want to do, and they shouldn't look at it too hard or with any kind of sense of obligation. Because that's just guilt mongering. They're just guilting themselves into doing the right thing instead of the wrong thing. And that's not their obligation. Their obligation is just to do what they want. And that's his philosophy. Alright. What I took away was the idea that you shouldn't get overly invested in your knowledge to the point it becomes an obsession and haunts you. Well, why don't you explain where that line is? Since apparently you know where that line is. So was the people who fought slavery, did they go across the line? Were the people who showed up in World War II, who had no vested interest whatsoever, who lived all the way over in America and couldn't give a rat's ass about these people or those people or those people, should they have just stayed the fuck home? I mean, when should people be bugged? And you really think that anything's going to change in the world because a bunch of assholes find excuses not to be bothered? Not to give a fuck? And that's all Andy is selling. Fuck. You might just think I'm an optimistic idiot. Well, I think you're a delusional idiot. But I don't see this world getting but I see this world getting better bit by bit, especially if more people make an effort. Especially if more people make an effort, but not because they have a problem with it, not because of any kind of negative state of mind, just because they feel they have so much extra time on their hands, they just feel like doing a little extra. Yeah, no, they're not, working for $10 an hour. Yeah, right. 20 hours a day, right? To make ends meet. So they have lots of extra time. They got those extra 4 hours they can work on it with. And educate as many people as possible with a more hopeful message than yours. Well, whatever. Hopeful is what? That's the appropriate way to be. It's appropriate to look at the circumstance and say, oh, look at all the reason to hope all over the place. Just covered with reason to hope. So, yeah, should builders of nuclear power plants be hopeful because Fukushima, only 3 of the plants melted down? yeah, so that's reason to hope, right? Damn, that's pretty good. Only 3 of them melted down. Shit. Maybe I'm wrong and you will have a positive impact with your videos. Yes, I'm counting on it, pretty much, but yes. By positive, I mean people being kinder and greatly reducing suffering in the world. Well, I don't even care about the kindness part, but yes, if they'll do the reducing suffering thing, that's the one I'm after. Not getting people to find a way to wipe out all life on Earth, whatever. Again, so you think life on Earth should be here, and you're not too worried about life on Mars not being here, or life on Venus not being here. Those problems are okay, but this threat that there will be no life on Earth is just so, we have to do something about that. We can't have that. Right? Right. Yeah, that's right. Oh, okay. Speciesist. I get it. Planetist. Yeah, just another bigot. P.S. Why on earth would you sub to me? Yes, I guess it was a mistake. I wonder if it's as big a mistake as stubbing my toe. Should I feel guilty about it? Oh my, oh my, oh my. I should guilt-monger myself. I have subbed to an idiot. What do I do? Oh, I'll just ignore it. I have to believe it was a mistake. Yes, I'm likewise of that impression. So why did you come here and comment on my videos? Yeah, I could ask questions too. Why are you commenting? Oh, I don't know. So anyway, this asshole is the one I'm really after. Well, not entirely, but yeah, okay. Oh yeah, his is a follow-up to hers. Okay, so she has to type even more. So she asks why, and then she does this. If he is doing what you're accusing him of doing, maybe some people need to hear that in order to get them ready to face reality and to search for knowledge and truth. Perhaps he is doing something good. So, I don't know how you could possibly pervert this into this. I think you're smart. I really do. I think you're smart enough to understand that people don't fix things unless they're bothered by them. Like if I'm comfortably sitting on the couch and there's a broken chair across the room, I'm not going to fix it because I'm comfortable on the couch, right? I mean, that's not a great example, but you can get the idea that most people don't do anything about something unless they have to, unless it's threatening them, right? So if they're comfortable with it, they're not going to do anything about it, right? Right. And he's selling, don't worry, be happy. So you get it? If you're not worrying and you're being happy, you're not going to go to war and fix things, are you? You're not even going to go to the hardware store and buy some sand to put on your sidewalk so people don't fall down. Because that would be complying to your guilt-mongering brain that's giving you some sense of responsibility. And that's bad. You should go get some chickpeas and maybe throw that on the sidewalk. No. As far as guilt, okay, here we go. I get the idea he's talking about unnecessary guilt. Well, isn't that the magic words? Right, so when you have it, it's necessary. When somebody else has it, it's unnecessary. And you get to tell everybody what's necessary guilt. So why don't you just do me a favor. Ask Anacontavad to give you a list of what are necessary guilt. Because I frankly don't think he thinks anything is on the list. So you go ask him what is necessary guilt. Go ask him, please. Please. And I'd like to hear your list too. You tell me what is unnecessary guilt. You go ahead and tell me what is unnecessary guilt. Is global warming unnecessary guilt? Is men being concerned about women being vulnerable to rape unnecessary guilt? I mean, should all the men just say, fuck the bitches? Yeah, you know. Is drunk driving unnecessary guilt? The kind of guilt that some caregivers drill into their kids' heads, which later causes them mental problems. Oh, so now we're back to this crap that because you Catholic crapheads somehow got all molested by your parents and the priests with all kinds of ideas that you're supposed to be a good person and you just couldn't handle it. You couldn't measure up to the Catholic standard of basically fuck everybody but me. I mean, what exactly are Catholics known for? Oh, that's right, taking away rights. What else do they do? Yeah, not the fuck much. The poor will be with you always. I guess they do that. Yeah, fuck. You know, they make statues. They make $10,000 booties. They make fucking funny hats. Cathedrals. Yeah, they're big on cathedrals. Yeah, cathedrals are just so cool. They do the world so much good. Oh, fuck you people. Guilt for being human and having human feelings and emotions. So again, that's your accusation is that Andy is the great defender of the people being oppressed by completely nonsensical guilt. So you show me in the context of any of the people Anacontavad has communicated with where that's their agenda, where they're talking about you can't abort your baby and you can't do this and you can't do that. A bunch of moral dogma. You show me one person that he's arguing with that is theorizing from a dogmatic morality position. Show me one person that isn't making an argument that we can logically understand that, yeah, if we pollute the water, we can't drink it. So he's arguing with people saying things like rape is an unnecessary imposition, that no man needs to rape. Okay, he wants to rape. He doesn't need to rape. All right. Guilt for being good enough. Guilt for not being good enough, not living up to expectations set for them. That kind of guilt. Well, again, isn't that again require you to just acknowledge the fact that you're not good enough? How can so you're saying that you need a world so protective of your mind that you have to be protected from somebody explaining to you you're an asshole and you believing them. I don't see how the world can function that way. But you trust Andy to do it. Yeah, because Andy's always going to say, no, you're doing swell, kid. That's why you want it. That's right, because you want just a bunch of people to tell you how swell you are. Oh, I get it. Oh, so obvious. Do you feel guilty for existing? Where would you get that from? Where is there any indication that I would possibly feel guilty for existing? Where? Where is there anything in my videos about something I feel guilty for? I feel guilty for nothing. I feel angry that you assholes keep talking about yourselves like you're all great and that you're doing a great job. Because you suck. I'm absolutely fucking fantastic as a human being. It is you assholes who don't have one fucking clue what the fuck you're doing and who are a bunch of goddamn excuse makers to be selfish assholes. Well, I needed the new dress and yeah, so what, the Chinaman had to make it. So what, their little fingers got worn to the bone. So what, they got their arms cut off in cheap factory. I needed to go to Walmart. Fuck you. I mean I'm just, I'm using exaggeration to make the argument. But, I mean, this isn't about whether I feel guilty for existing. It's whether you can look at the game of life and say, oh yeah, there's a place for me to play here. I see how I can maneuver myself right in between the cheetah eating the wildebeest, the the rapist, the toxic dumper. Yeah, I can fit myself right in here and yeah, play a good game. Yeah, I don't think so. While watching this video, did you try to look through his point of view at all? Well, look, I've had to listen to his fucking bullshit now for over a year, and it's just that. 39 videos about a guilt I keep saying doesn't exist, that nobody can impose on you but yourself. And he keeps talking about it like it's the worst weapon of warfare there is. The bomb you eat and have blow up in your own brain. Oh, gee. Alright, or did you just automatically react negatively to it and reject it outright? Well, I'm sorry, it's been premised on a stupid video where he holds up a can of peas and says, is this a can of peas or not? Or is this empty space? Or is this atoms? Or is this neutrons? As if that's supposed to mean something. No matter what universe it is, the things are always going to be made out of things. You can't have things. Guess what? Newsflash. You can't have things unless they're made out of things. That's going to be true no matter where you fuck you go. Whatever. Agreed that the toe stubbing example was shit. Well, his whole video was premised on the toe stubbing example. That's his example of the difficult questions we face. We face these horrible, difficult questions. He walked up to the stub your toe question and said, oh fuck, that's even way too much guilt. Let alone thinking about drinking and driving, or whether I put sand on my damn sidewalk, or whether I fix the crack on the step, or whether I do any of this other shit, whether I give money to the poor, or whether I try to cure malaria. Ah, no, fuck all that crap. I can't even deal with the guilt about stubbing my toe. And you're telling me there's room for a video there somewhere? There's room for a conversation somewhere that I should be doing something other than saying, what the fuck are you talking about, jackass? I mean, get a goddamn fucking clue. I mean, really. Anyway, I'm trying to figure out if there is any possible reason he would use that rather than the more realistic example. Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm telling you, you know what the reason is? It's because he's a nihilist, selfish, Nietzschean megalomaniac, okay, who perceives reality to be, oh, I am so cool. Yeah, that's it. That's all. That's as far as his brain goes. Oh, I'm so cool. Yeah. And all they're all weak. They're the rest of them. They're all weak. Weak-minded. This caring thing. You know. Emotionally crippled. Yeah, that's all he's doing. He's calling everybody else emotionally crippled because they have this sensibility that informs them that the other human beings they're interacting with aren't a can of chickpeas. That's right, they understand that the other organisms that they're interacting with are not a can of chickpeas. Alright, this fucker. You bister. Stupid turd. Just what a twat. Yes. It doesn't seem that Andy's views were taken charitably. Oh, is that my obligation? In order to refute an argument, you should present your opponent's viewpoint as strongly as charitably as possible. Well, I just watched one of your videos, you little twat, and you didn't do that. You claim that because some guy said that the real job of science is to falsify bad ideas, not prove good ideas, that it really can't prove the truth. It can only prove the idiocy of not believing something. You didn't charitably argue that. Okay, you sit there and pigeonhole and narrowed the expression, and then used then he went far, a step further and implied that they were making some sort of statement about fundamental logic itself, and they weren't doing that. So you're just a little weasel in your own behavior, you hypocrite. So who the hell are you? What are you doing, pointing a finger at anybody else? Huh, jackass? I hate these fuckers. Then refute the argument. Well, again, how do I charitably view his argument? He's telling me I can't know that a can of chickpeas is a can of chickpeas, that it fits in the category of food in a can And that's it. There's nothing else relevant or significant about a can of chickpeas. It doesn't have any mystery. There's no unicorns in it. There's nothing tied to it that is a terribly important significance whatsoever. I have no confusion whatsoever. I don't need it in the file. How do I make sense out of this? You tell me what the fuck he's saying then, asshole. What's the charitable view of the crap he is spewing, fuckhead? I can't refute a non-argument. His argument is, chickpeas. Yeah. I'm supposed to, well, okay. What, I'm supposed to refute the argument that chickpeas should have been in like a Twilight Zone episode because they're really complicated? Alright, I think there were misunderstandings. Well, I'm sorry, there's nothing to misunderstand. Go ahead, try to narrow him down. Try to get him to explain to you what the difference is between unnecessary guilt and necessary guilt. And try to get him to acknowledge or accept that most people don't think they need guilt to not do something wrong. All they need is recognition of its wrongness. I never killed anybody drunk driving, yet I am strongly opposed to drunk driving. Now, why is that? Oh, that's right, because I understand it sucks. It's stupid, idiotic, moronic behavior. That it should not be acceptable. It's not guilt that's driving me to it. I never knew anybody killed by a drunk driver. You get it? I mean, I never came even close to drunk driving. So how is it guilt that drove me to that conclusion? Oh, that's right, it wasn't guilt. Fucking suck. I think there were misunderstandings. Contrary to Gary's claim that brains can understand. Oh, okay, so here's the claim. Contrary to Gary's claim, this is what I have claimed, that brains can understand, they can also misunderstand. Oh, so is that somewhere in Gary's claim that misunderstanding is not possible? No. So this isn't a contrary statement, asshole. It really isn't. I never claimed that brains only understand accurately, and that's all they ever do. Did I ever make that claim? No. So this is not a contrary statement. You're a weasel. Which happens quite reliably and often, and we need to distinguish the two. Oh, yes, you need to do that. And by Andy's standard, there's no difference between a can of chickpeas and a rapist. And admit when we don't know or understand things instead of pretending to know or understand like fundamentalists. Okay, so what exactly in my video, what statement in my video you don't get? Evolution? You don't believe evolution is proven fact, that it's survived all, that there is no reasonable counter theory? Do you think there's a reasonable counter theory? Do you think it's been offered by anybody? I think the basic question being asked are, what is the basis of reality? So I mean, what's the basis of reality? It's like asking, let's see, I'm trying to think. There's nothing you can metaphor reality to, because everything that you're going to metaphor to is in the reality, right? So it was created by the same process. But quite obviously, all there is energy, there's distance, and there's time. So stuff is moving distance over time. And what it does is that it gets into relationship to each other. The stuff sticks to each other, or it repels each other. And that's the nature of reality, is that there are complex relationships created by the fact that there are forces of attraction and repulsion in the interaction of material energy. Can you get that? How do we distinguish what is real from what is not real? Well, again, so that I'm supposed to take that seriously. I have some problem distinguishing Daffy Duck from whatever, Eisenhower. No, I don't. There were no answers provided, just assertions that we already know. That wasn't what I asserted. What I asserted is that there's no rational contest here. There's no reasonable alternative theory. You want to show me the reasonable alternative theory that a can of chickpeas is a can of chickpeas? That there's some other explanation for what it is, that it's just not food manufactured for the service of human need? That there's something still mysterious about a can of chickpeas? No, there isn't. You don't have any rational unicorn chickpea theory, fuckhead. What would we live in, and facts are facts. Whatever. What would we live in, and facts are facts. There are no answers for right, just assertions that we already know. What would we live in, and facts are facts. I don't know what that means. Which is clearly an empty circular tautology. Facts are facts is empty. Arguing that there are things that we know as statements, premises. That we have some fundamental categories. All of mathematics is just establishing categories. You describe the category 2, and then you put things in the category 2. You describe the category 3, and then you put things in the category 3. We have categories like living and dead and all that kind of stuff, and we put things in them quite rationally. But it's a fact. Water is wet. We created the word wet, the category wet, to actually describe what water is. And now we can put other things in the same category that have wetness, like maybe ammonia or something. So what in fact and how do we know? So what is a fact and how do we know? A fact is a description, a definition of function or essence. Let's just say essence. Some essence. Yeah. That is Epistemology 101. Reality is all about you because reality depends on subjectivity. Well, again, you say so. Okay, you're saying that all models are somehow broken by subjective impression, that we can't have a model in our head that isn't personally or subjectively manipulated, and I'm saying bullshit. And mathematics does prove that. We can have mathematical models that are reliable and dependable across all subjective, they survive all subjective pollution because the categories are so precisely defined. And that's all that's required. If you have carefully enough defined and described categories, you will have no subjective perversion. It depends upon the individual to recognize things. No, it depends on the society and all the individuals to agree on explicit and rational vocabulary and words to describe how things function. So if you use careful language, like I said, if you come up with a careful definition of what a living thing is, then you can put things in the living thing category quite reliably. That are right and wrong, and realize that suffering and pain are bad, and that, well, look, Antikondavad doesn't agree with that, so why don't you go ask him some of these questions, shithead. Why don't you impose upon him your insight and see what he gives you as an answer, besides some sort of flippant joke response. And that seems creatures have value. Well, you go ahead and ask him about that. And that these things are rational, which they are. I agree, and I will fight on behalf of these truths. Well, you're not fighting on behalf of these truths because you're sitting basically sucking the dick of somebody who says those truths don't exist. So that's not exactly my definition of fighting for the cause when you're sitting there having dinner with Adolf Hitler, fucker. Because I believe in truth, goodness, and beauty. Well, this beauty part is quite a big, fat, ugly delusion. As the best of anything that is real. Well, again, beauty is not real. That is subjective crap. But we don't experience life as billions of sentient creatures. We experience reality as me. Yeah, well, again, we can't even... and it's not about experience. It's about understanding. Again, understanding doesn't require you to experience all of things. It just requires you to have a reliable vocabulary and reliable categories to put things in, and then you can describe them based on properties and categories. Categories become properties. A subjective observer can distinguish properties and values. Well, be careful of this value word. But where do these properties and values and forms arise? Well, they arise in the thing, shithead, and we just either correctly observe it or incorrectly observe it. What is the basis of illusion and false mind? Well, the basis of illusion is that we have imagination to make us be able to fill in the blanks, to connect dots, to deduce. And that's where things can go really wrong if people garbage in, garbage out. Illusions clearly exist because they arise in the mind, which is the basis of reality. The mind is not the basis of reality because we only know reality through subjective experience. Again, you're saying that that's the only way you know reality. I'm saying that no, you can know reality based on a simple logical process of establishing irrefutable premises. Water is wet. Now let's see what else is wet. Andy says we have to go deeper than we normally would. He doesn't say any such thing in meaning any kind of depth. When he says the word deeper, it's like when he says the word guilt. Okay, guilt is really responsibility, and deeper is, just stick your head further up your own ass. Deeper up your own ass. That's what he means. Which is true if you want to answer these questions. Well, again, what's the depth? What's the deep answer to the can of chickpeas? What's the counter argument to it's just a can of food? Earlier he says, I'm not telling people they should live their lives that way. Well, again, you can't do both. So he is telling them. If you think that way, you will live that way. All right, you're going to give me some explanation of how people ever fix something if they don't recognize it as broken. If they're not made uncomfortable, you're saying they're going to change something when they're not uncomfortable with it? You really think so? You think that's the way human beings work? That they don't have to be made uncomfortable to do something about something? Come on. And Gary asserts that he is lying without any argument. No, I've made plenty of arguments. I've made this explicit argument that Andy's just selling candy and it will destroy the brain. He attributes the view to Andy that everything's fogged and won't recognize anything. Well, he won't recognize anything. He won't even recognize that he can say raping is bad. I won't recognize the truths that are quite obvious and don't want to grow up. That, to me, does not seem to me to be charitable interpretations. Well, again, why should I be charitable when we already have his interpretations? He's basically said parents should not consider the negative possibilities of their activity. If they are going to get pregnant and they're going to have a baby, they should not waste time considering negative potential outcomes. As those who are not things, Andy said. And those were not things Andy said. Well, you say so. I play his videos and respond to them. So let's see you do that. Let's see you play one of Andy's videos and then rationally respond to it. Explain how what he is saying is rational. Why don't you do that? Why don't you play his video, and then when he gets to the part where he talks about guilt over stubbing his toe, you can explain what the fuck he's talking about. If you have arguments that will truly point out the faulty logic, if you have arguments, I don't know, wouldn't it be more effective to take the arguments at face value? Well, there's no face value. He holds up a can of chickpeas. What is the face value of the argument? That I should be confused and argue against them. I did that. If you have arguments that will truly point out the faulty logic. Yes, the faulty logic is he says he's a nihilistic, a Nietzschean crazy fuck who thinks the only thing that matters is playing the survival game. You want to be the mega human, okay? Some kind of monster Tyrannosaurus human. The only game in town is nature's game. And so just make yourself into the most insidious, monstrous fucking beastie you fucking can. If there are logical, rational, reasonable arguments, let's hear them. Well, again, I have made thousands of videos. I have asserted my position. He's the one claiming my position is just some sort of guilt mongering. Well, you show me in one of my videos where I'm using guilt as a mongering weapon, where the guilt doesn't have something called responsibility and accountability behind it. Show me one video where I claim a value and all I intend to do is make people feel guilty. Go ahead, show me. Not just as you're the one just making assertions, you little fucking prick. of this is rational, this is reasonable. Well, this is logical. Well, I'm sorry. It's, yes, evolution is logical. It's reasonable. It describes and defines us quite adequately. We are not confusable with a can of chickpeas because we understand evolution. Okay, we were made by evolution. We made chickpeas in cans. That's the difference. We understand those differences. You are not rational or reasonable or logical. Saying does not make it so. Well, again, I don't just say it. I demonstrate it in arguing mechanics. I'm the one claiming we're a mechanical beast, that we do things for reasons and that those reasons are understandable. Andy's claiming that no, we're not that, we're something else. And he certainly is claiming that quite obviously this idea that humans, that there's something valuable about the welfare state of humans, that doesn't enter into his equation at all. Then at the end, Gary says, no one is stopping you from questioning, but then says, this isn't something we need to question. Well, I'm just saying, yeah, if you have a question, let's hear it. What's your question? Go ahead, explain to me how we don't know about evolution. You show me. What's your question? Why should I question evolution? What evidence is not already well past proof beyond reasonable doubt? Go ahead, show me where the proof is something other than beyond reasonable doubt. Show me how any of the evidence, genetic evidence, geographic evidence, geological evidence, chemical evidence, you show me how the evidence is flawed. Go ahead, fuckhead. What is there to question about our origins? There's no question about it. Well, you can't have it both ways. I'm not having it both ways. I'm saying if you wish to question the significance of a can of chickpeas, go ahead, knock yourself out. He's implying that everybody should have these questions, that everybody should doubt the reality of a can of chickpeas because somehow it's made out of matter, and matter is complicated. Matter is not complicated, okay? We know what it is. It's made up of very dependable, very reliable atoms. They do very dependable and very reliable things. Their interactions can be studied for zillions of years, and they will not alter from the fucking blueprint, from the rules. The rules are as consistent, as hard as you get. So there's nothing about that can that confuses me whatsoever. How is matter configured into form? Form exists in mind. Well, fuck you, that's idiotic. Not in the matter. Well, what does that mean? Form exists in the mind, not in the matter. Why don't you tell me what the fuck that means? Form exists in the mind, not in the matter. You explain that to me, shithead. Because that means absolutely nothing. All there is relationship, and we can accurately model relationship or inaccurately model relationship. So for this matter, you really haven't given the bottom of the matter. You haven't really gotten to the bottom of the matter. Oh, that's a good joke. Yeah, right. Because I what? Because I don't believe in unicorns? Does it matter? Do you mind if it matters? Apparently not. I don't even know what that means. But fuck you! Asshole. Alright, and the bitch, excuse me. Stolen angel. Snarky bitch. Whatever. You too smart. My brain hurts. I think I understand you and that this kind of an idea that I was trying to form, but I would have said it much simpler way, such as he seems to be misunderstanding Anaconda statements, or something as unclear as that. Yeah, whatever. I'm misunderstanding what? He's basically making excuses for any kind of selfish human behavior. He recognizes no social obligations. He recognizes no groupthink ideas. No ideas like what's in the best interest of the human race. That is not relevant to his ideas. That's guilt-mongering. Durr. Thank God there are intelligent, reasonable people like you. Okay, well, you go ahead. You tell me what that sentence of his sentence means. All right, why don't you tell me this? Form exists in the mind, not in the matter. So why don't you tell me what that fucking means? Alright, thank you. Thank God there are intelligent, reasonable people like you to make sense of these things, although I still can't exactly wrap my head around the concept of form existing in the mind, not in the matter. Oh, well, there she goes. So you recognize that that's absolute crap, right? And yet you sit there and kiss his fucking ass. Amazing. It just makes no sense to me. Oh, say, so it makes no sense, but gee, you're the smartest guy I ever heard. What? How intelligent and reasonable people he is. He makes no sense, but he's intelligent and reasonable. But he makes no sense. I don't know if it ever will. Well, yeah, I don't think it ever will. Well, whatever. Am I done? I don't really need to go any further, I don't think. Sorry, this was excessively long. And, well, I should play the end of. I should play one of that little twerp's videos. Well, maybe he can make a response video. Maybe he could play Anticontavad's video or play my video and explain how he interprets any of this shit, because I think it's crap. And once again, I'll stand by this video as being the greatest video that will ever be made as a response video to an insane Anticontavad bullshit video. Or something like that. I mean, it's totally accurately dissected. The game is over. Alright? Anticontavad he has no interest in reality because he knows, okay, that it's the truth. Reality is nothing but obligation. And he doesn't want the obligation. Okay. Yeah. He knows that as soon as he admits his welfare is important, he has to admit that everybody else's is. And that's the game over then. Then you're just a servant to the mess that's out there and the mess makers. The mess makers will force you, okay, to go clean up their vomit. And he doesn't want to do it. That's simple.